Good evening and welcome to this meeting of the full council of Mid Sussex District Council on Wednesday the 10th of December, starting just now at 7 o'clock. My name is Mike Kennedy. I'm honoured to be the chair of the council. Sitting on my right is my vice chair, Councillor Cherry. On my left, the chief executive of the council, Catherine Hall. Various officers and other members are sitting around me, and members of the council, councillors sitting in front of me. Can I begin, please, by asking those who are able to stand for our opening prayer.
O Lord, grant us courage to strive for what is right and good, courtesy to listen to those of different opinion, strengthen us through difficulties and pressures, and guide us in our deliberations, so that we may act in the interests of all in our district, to the glory of your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Can we move immediately on to item 2 on the agenda, which is to receive questions from members of the public under Council Procedure Rule number 9. We have received a number of questions, and I gather that there are a number of ladies, I think 5 with us, and I also have a question from Mr. Kenwood, which I will read out, which he has asked me to read out. Now, we have 15 minutes for this item, and the way I'm proposing that we deal with it is that I ask the ladies to read out their questions. If they have a supplementary question, could they read that out immediately after the question that they have submitted? When all the questions have been read out, I will ask the council member responsible for this issue to respond. Any response to the supplementary questions will be provided at a later date in writing. I hope that's clear, and I'd like to start by asking Miss Butterfield to speak, ask her question.
Right, the question is, Mid Sussex District Council will make a decision on Clare Hall at Cabinet on the 2nd of February 2026. The decision will be made by 5 councillors, namely Messrs Eggleston, Hicks, Cook, Gibson and Hobbs. This evening, please give us full details of your plans for Clare Hall, bearing in mind that the venue is legally listed as a theatre and has always been purposed as a much-needed community space. Also kindly indicate any demolition or rebuilding plans which may infringe legal theatre status or community value or location, or entail building over the necessary parking provision.
Thank you. Do you have a supplementary question?
I didn't know that we were allowed to do that.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Sadie next, please. I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Sadi.
Sadi, forgive me.
Good evening. Clare Hall has been much missed by all those who have used it in the past. Closure of this community facility has been a huge loss. In the perfect location near the train station, bus stops, with parking. The catchment area, 60,000 residents. Satisfied past users, 35 different activities identified. Every age group catered for. On public notice boards, 60 activities advertised. Potential users. Most importantly, Clare Hall gave all residents a sense of belonging to a community. Minimal refurbishment is key. Can our community rely on you in your dealings with Clare Hall's future to be even-handed? Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question is to come from Ms. Sharkey, please.
Given MSDC's 2021 statement that the Redwood Centre is a vital multi-use community hub, home to the 10th Haywards Heath Scouts, a nursery, church and key training, youth and volunteer activities, what assurances can be given to the future of the 10th Scouts and other groups currently using the centre if Clare Hall site is redeveloped? This is of particular concern to Bentswood Hub CIC, as displacement of the 10th Scouts could force them into the barn, potentially making Bentswood Hub itself homeless. Why has MSDC's previously stated view on safeguarding the centre changed?
Thank you. Do you have a supplementary question? Thank you. Then the next question is from Ms Wilcock.
Chair, thank you. And can I say I take great heart from the council prayer that we've all both shared this evening. May it be applied. So, my question is, there appears to be some general confusion about the state and condition of Clare Hall and therefore the potential for reopening and immediate use. So that they may satisfy themselves before taking any further decisions on the future of Clare Hall, would any councillors be prepared to attend a joint site visit of the building with members of Haywards Heath Community KIC, who have just recently submitted an ACV bid for the site? It would be so good to work with members and councillors. And Chair, I don't have a supplementary because I believe supplementaries are usually in response following the response from the council. So as we actually haven't had a reply, we're not really in a position to raise a supplementary. But thank you.
Very well. Thank you, Ms Wilcock. There's a question from Mr Kenwood, which is next in my list, so I will read it out as Mr Kenwood can't be with us. His question is, with regards to the assets of community value bids being made for Chair Hall, could the council please state exactly who will be evaluating these bids before reporting the findings to council in the new year? And the final question comes from Ms Scubber, please.
Thank you. Good evening. The Scouts used the Redwood Centre and wouldn't actually have anywhere else to go if the building is redeveloped. What action has the council taken to engage with community groups trying to save Clare Hall over the last couple of years? Has the council looked into the option of seeking external grant funding to restore the building rather than sell it? What is the evidence that private redevelopment provides greater long-term public benefit than continued community use? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms Scubber. Now, could I ask the Cabinet Member for Communities and Communications to respond, please? That's Councillor Cook.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your questions. As the Chair's explained, I will answer in block. The Council recognises the importance of Clare Hall as a community and cultural facility for the residents of Mid-Sussex and for its potential to attract visitors to the area. Since Clare Hall's enforced closure during COVID, members and officers have worked tirelessly to ensure that a vibrant, exciting cultural facility with a long-term sustainable future can be provided. Matching as much as possible the wishes of the public as identified through an extensive consultation exercise carried out in 2023. It is important to note that in accordance with the planning regime, the status of Clare Hall is a community hall. Over the last 4 years, the Council has directed considerable resources towards finding a viable solution to Clare Hall. This includes engaging experts to provide independent advice and a robust process to protect the public purse. Unfortunately, there is no confusion about the current state of the facility. Structural engineering reports make it clear that significant investment would be required to the structure of the building to enable it to be safely reopened in its current format. Arrangements can of course be made to visit the facility, but I'm sure that most members are already very familiar with it. Clare Hall is currently listed as an asset of community value, and as a council we welcome offers from the community for the purchase of the hall. Any purchaser will need to demonstrate that they can provide the cultural mix of activities required for public use and a robust financial model. I am pleased to learn that yesterday we did receive a bid from the Haywards Heath Community Interest Company. This and any other bids received will be considered by a cross-party group of members, informed by advice from a technical panel with experience in the cultural and community sectors and the built environment. Constitutionally, this is a decision for the executive, and it will consider this at its meeting on 2nd February 2026. Whilst there is a relationship, the ability of community groups to bid under the ACV regime is entirely separate from the council's agreed process to consider options to redevelop the site. As we have made clear, the latter may include seeking a developer to build a brand new cultural facility with a broad mix of facilities, including a cinema and live performance space. This option was strongly supported by the public during the consultation exercise. A procurement exercise to identify a cultural operator to run such a facility has been successfully carried out, should the Cabinet decide to go down this route. It will be reported to the steering group next week. This council is very proud of its record of supporting the scouting movement and other community groups. Many scout groups have benefited from the council's community grant scheme and Section 106 funding. The 10th Haywards Heath Scout Group are currently operating out of the Redwood Centre under a tenancy at will arrangement. New accommodation is soon to be provided for the Scout movement at Barn Cottage. And once we have a clear idea of the residual needs of the Scouts and clear direction for Clare Hall, we will work with them to agree and explore the next steps. In conclusion, I can affirm that it is the Council's ambition to try to ensure the people of Mid Sussex can look forward to having a flexible facility at Clare Hall that is financially viable and provides for a wide range of users. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cook. This issue is one that all the councillors, particularly those in Haywards Heath, obviously are aware of and have thought and discussed at great length. And I know that it is a community issue, shall I say. Now, ladies, you haven't asked a supplementary question, but after the response given by Councillor Cook, would any of you like to ask a supplementary question, which will, of course, have to be answered in writing in due course? Ms Wilcott, would you like to go first?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. It's the first time we've had mention of the steering group, which is very interesting. Would you please notify us which councillors will be on the steering group, please, and who will be on the expert panel, and the external consultants that will be making and advising on such important decisions for the community of Haywards Heath. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Wilcott. Was another lady asking a question?
Could I ask if we could have a copy of the response?
Yes, yes, of course, that would be standard practice, I'm sure. One other supplementary?
Sorry. Your statement says that you expect the Scouts to be catered for in the barn. That essentially would leave Bentswood Hub homeless. So where do you suppose the Bentswood Hub go? Because if we sign into an arrangement with the Scouts to go in there, and then the 10th group are expected to go in there, well then there's no space for Bentswood Hub. By that point, we will have given up our current building, which will no doubtedly be leased somewhere else. The building building next door will no doubtly do these somewhere else, leaving nowhere for Benswood Hub. So I'd really urge the council to consider the impact of that statement, because the Scouts are not expecting to go in there, and it will be very detrimental to Benswood Hub.
Thank you. It's a question, not a statement that we're looking for, so we can answer the question specifically. We understand the question, but thank you. So, did you raise your hand, Ms Butterfield?
Yes.
Yeah.
Will developers have to put in planning applications, and if so, can we have details of those, please?
We'll reply to that as well. Ms Scobart as well, the question.
Sorry, just to clarify, so it's not 10th that would go to Barnes Cottage, it's 5th, so 10th have nowhere to go if it would close.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, ladies. Good. That means we've kept to roughly to our schedule of 15 minutes. I'm very grateful to you. And as I say, you'll be given written answers to those supplementary questions, hopefully in the not too distant future. Thank you. Can we move on now, please, to the next item on the agenda, which is the, I hope, agreement by general affirmation of the minutes of our previous meeting held on the 24th of February. Could you please agree that?
September. You said February.
Did I say February? Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. September. Thank you very much, though, for your agreement. I appreciate that. Next, item 4 on the agenda is to receive declarations of interest from any of the members in respect of any matter that is on today's agenda. Could you please indicate if you have any declarations to make? I can't see anyone. Thank you very much. Next item is to consider items that the chairman agrees to take as urgent business, and there are none. So I move on to item 6, which is the chairman's announcements. On the council's website it says details of the events that I have attended and Councillor Cherry has attended when I've not been able to attend. I just want to mention 2 or 3. First was the launch of the STEM event for this year, next year, which is a hugely impressive event. Many of you will have been involved. It was great to see. I think there were over 150 people there, mainly students who are going to be in the teams from the schools that were involved in the project. But the enthusiasm discussing that, the future project, with those who were there and going to be organising it, professors and judges and people from the private sector, it was hugely impressive, as I'm sure the whole project will be when it finally terminates during the early part of summer next year. At this time of year, as you might expect, there are lots of invitations to attend carol concerts, so I've been able to go to Arundel Cathedral and Chichester Cathedral. I've also been to the East Grinstead Mayor's service and also his quiz, which was very interesting and entertaining. But one of the most interesting and rewarding events, I think, was when the Lord Lieutenant gave a BEM on behalf of the King to a resident in Burgess Hill. It was wonderful to have it at St Andrew's Church. She was able to be there rather than just with 1 or 2 members of her family going to the palace or to Windsor Castle. She had, I think there must have been well over 100 people there, including all her close family and friends. She had been working at children's nursery or preschool in St Andrews for well over 30 years, and she was awarded the BEM by the Lord Lieutenant. Very rewarding service and very happy and honoured to be there. I know that Councillor Cherry wants to mention something that she has been involved in and something that she attended.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Yes, on Saturday the 8th, put my mic on Saturday the 8th of November, I visited the Triangle in Burgess Hill for the Prostate Cancer Support Organisation's annual screening for prostate cancer. And this event was very ably supported by Burgess Hill Lions, who confirmed to me that over 1,100 gentlemen had booked for screening for that day. And there were also people coming straight from the gym at the Triangle, straight in there to get their testing as well. You may well remember that actually Councillor Marsh, some months ago, made mention of the importance of this screening for gentlemen. And if you are still thinking about going for a test, they call themselves Picasso, which is rather nice, Prostate Cancer Support Organisation. I actually have the contact details for them, and you can find out where and when the next screening will take place. So please, if you're thinking about going, come along to see me afterwards and I'll give you the contact details. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cherry. I think that completes item 6, so we can move quickly on to item 7, which is to receive the report of the monitoring officer on political balance, covered by section 15 of the Local Government and Housing Act of 1989 and the Local Government Committees and Political Groups Regulations of 1990. There is, I think, amongst your papers, if you've not seen them, the latest, it's Appendix 1, although it says Appendix A in my notes. Yeah, so I'd like to introduce this item, if you would care to look at that and check it. It's something that I would propose and look to my Vice Chair to second.
Happy to second.
Now, is there to be any debate on this item? Would anybody like to speak? Councillor Chapman.
Thank you, Chairman. When I got re-elected in 2023, myself and Councillor Kenny were given 3 committee seats between the two of us. So I took 1 and Councillor Kenny took 2. Now that Councillor Henwood has gone independent, she is worth, mathematically, 1.54 committee seats. The Liberal Democrats have kept the same number of seats. So when Janice left, their number hasn't gone down. So what's happened, Councillor Kenny has been reduced down to 1 seat, and Councillor Henwood has now got 1 seat. And so, mathematically, technically, between the 3 of us, we are worth at least 4 seats, possibly even it's like 4.5 something. You could argue 5 seats to be shared between us. And if we look at some other stats, if I may, Chairman, for example, the Conservatives, they are worth 27.72 seats, and they've got 27, whereas the Liberal Democrats are entitled to 29.26 seats, but have got 31. The Green Group are entitled to 6.16 seats, but has 7, and yet the other independent group, who have the same numbers, only have 6. So I'm not sure how fairly this has been apportioned. I mean, for example, Councillor Henwood is great at planning. She's no longer on planning. So if we had 4 or 5 seats between us 3 to work out, Councillor Henwood would have still been able to stay on planning and been a useful member of that committee. That's all.
Thank you, Councillor Chapman. Councillor Marsh.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I wasn't planning on saying a great deal, but I did some work on it out as well. He's better at it than me, I've got to say. I am slightly confused because when we all got elected in 23, we as the Conservatives gave up a seat because it was, one of them went to the Liberal Democrats and they went on to the licensing, even though technically we should have had that seat, but it was like a half and half a person. So I thought, well, even for the ease of it, or let's just give it to one. But working it out, it looks like when Councillor Henwood decided to go independent, congratulations, Councillor Henwood, the Liberal Democrat ruling group haven't lost any seats at all. They've still got 31. And looking at this, we should have gone up. Even though we didn't have anybody defect or leave or do anything, we should have technically gone up 1 seat. So we should have 28. The Liberal Democrats should only have 29. So can I ask for a possible rethink on this one, please? Because I do think that we've missed out, and as Councillor Chapman just said, and I know they're not a block, but if they are a block, then they should have had an extra seat as well. So that would have been, they would have extra seats, we would have had an extra seat. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. I think I can see the point you're making. I haven't done the maths myself, but I'm grateful for your comments. Would you like to comment on this, Catherine?
I would. It would be, this is a matter for the monitoring officer to use her judgment based on the rules of how political balance works, and that's what she's done objectively. And there's the points made by both speakers are not entirely accurate. That's not entirely how it works. So what your monitoring officer's done is her job and given you the best advice she can. It's an inexact science. It's an inexact science in that the percentages or the numbers never work out into an exact number of seats. So it's a complicated issue. The other issue to remember is that Councillor Henwood is not part of a group. And that does affect how the maths works. So that's the advice your monitoring officer has given, and I support it.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to make any observations or comments? No? Can I suggest then that we move to a vote on this? So all those in favour would press the green button, and those abstaining the yellow, and those against the red. Has everyone voted? All the Conservatives. We there? Could I ask Julie Galvin to announce the result?
Thank you, members. So we've got 28 for, 3 against and 1 for abstained, and the report is carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we move to item 8 on the agenda, which is motions on notice, and we have a motion proposed by Councillor Knight, seconded, I understand, by Councillor Marsh. Would you like to say anything to open this discussion, Councillor Knight?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Members will have seen in their reports package the motion, but for those people online, I shall read it out and my rationale. So, promoting unity and shared identity through the permanent display of the Union flag at the council offices. And I thank Councillor Bell. It's not the Union Jack, it's the Union flag. The Union Jack, I understand, is part of the naval flag, but thank you for that. The council recognises the importance of fostering a sense of unity, shared identity and pride amongst all their residents. As a symbol of our collective heritage and values, the Union flag represents the diverse communities that make up our nation and the principles of democracy, freedom and mutual respect. And in light of this, the Council resolves to continue to display the Union flag at the main Council offices in a prominent and respectful location, acknowledging exceptions in support of the armed forces. Ensuring the flag is maintained to a high standard and flown in accordance with the official flag protocols. Acknowledge the flag's presence as a symbol of inclusion, unity and civic pride, reflecting the Council's ongoing commitment to community cohesion and shared values. And some rationale, the permanent display of the Union flag will serve as a visible reminder of our shared identity and commitment to working together across all backgrounds. It is a gesture of unity that celebrates our common bonds while respecting the diversity that strengthens our community. I'll move the motion. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. I understand this is seconded by you, Councillor Marsh. Do you want to say anything at this stage?
I reserve my right, but I am seconded, but I will reserve my right, should anybody else not want to say anything.
Thank you very much. Would anyone like to make any observations or comments to contribute to the debate? Councillor Wood.
Can I thank Councillors Knight and Marsh for this motion? It's always been the policy, as I understand it, of the Council to fly the flag at its headquarters, and I hope it will remain so. I stand as the grandson of a man who fought on the Somme. I stand as the son of a Korean War veteran, wounded by a landmine and disabled for the rest of his life. I'm very proud of their service and of others. They serve their country and the cause of freedom. So I welcome the motion talking about the importance of fostering a sense of unity, shared identity and pride among all residents. I'm glad to read of the proposer and the seconder believing in the importance of community cohesion and shared values. I also speak as an ex-RE and citizenship teacher of 33 years. The aims of community cohesion, shared values, democracy, freedom and mutual respect were my everyday bread and butter. And I made sure that British values were taught at the heart of everything that I did. The government of 2014 introduced the framework of British values, and it said there were 5 essentials: democracy, tolerance, respect, liberty, and the rule of law. These are fundamentals on which British society is built, and flying the Union flag is a key part of showing that. I welcome its flying because I believe it expresses those 5 great principles. I shall be voting for the motion and encourage all members to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Wood. Councillor Eaves.
Thank you, Chairman. This council already flies the flag all the time, so I don't really understand why this motion has been put. And indeed, every town hall in every country in the world surely flies their national flag. It goes without saying. I would very much support that, and of course, we're going to continue to do it. There are certain things in here which are great, like the rationale. The last 3 lines are really good. I can agree with that entirely. The first sentence I can really agree with. But if you start to talk about collective heritage, we haven't all got the same heritage. So I don't understand that. I don't think it's accurate. And I bridle when people on the right-hand side of the room say that I share their values, because there are a lot of values that you might have that I do not share. So I can't accept that, either the third one or indeed the second one, which kind of patronises the officers and seems to imply they will fly the flag in the wrong way. So although I support flying the flag, I'm going to have to abstain on this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Eaves. Councillor Henwood.
Well, I stand as somebody who was not born in this country. I get very nervous when I think about flag flying, having seen how much it occurs in other countries. I'm slightly nervous about nationalism becoming preeminent. I agree with the concept of a commitment to shared values and inclusion. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Henwood. Would anyone else like to say anything at this stage? Councillor de Bell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Could you press your button, please?
Oh, sorry. How's that?
I think that's good.
Bless you. This is nothing to do with jingoism or anything to do with that. I'm sorry to have heard that sort of coming out from that side. This is about being proud of our national heritage, something that is worth standing for. And I'm sorry to say it, but there have been a number of flags flown around this nation, even in London, last year's New Year's Day, by various people of various nondescript areas. And I think this is a very important matter for us as British people. So, yes, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor de Bell. Would anyone else like to comment? No. Councillor Marsh?
Thank you. I'll keep it quite brief, to be perfectly honest. Councillor Wood, I like you. I was the son of a Second World War veteran. Unfortunately, I'm a bit older than you. And my grandfather was in First World War, and as you know, I was in the army as well. But it's nothing to do with my military service. This is being proud to be who we are as a nation. And I support this, I second this, so I urge everybody to second it. It's who we are. Every one of us have got our own story, why we live in this country, and born in this country, and live in this country. So therefore, I will second the motion and sincerely hope as most people can support it. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Marsh. Councillor Knight, do you want to say a word or two? Okay, then I'll invite our leader to make any observations he might wish to do.
Thank you, Chairman. That's very kind of you. I brought with me today my grandfather's Aliens Order Certificate of Registration. My grandfather was a stateless person. Stateless people, of course, don't have flags. But he proudly supported this country. And listening to Councillor Wood talk about the values that I agree the flag does encapsulate. An anecdote I'll give you to show as a stateless person how he demonstrated those values. He was a tailor and he had his tailoring shop on Eversholt Street down by Euston Station. And in the war, the American GIs would come off the train and there was another tailoring shop up the road and the black GIs would go in there and the tailor there wouldn't serve them. And would send him down to Sam Goldberg, my grandfather. And they'd come in, black GIs, and my grandfather would always call them sir, treat them with respect. And as long as we value the flag, as the movers of the motion have said in their rationale, as long as we value the flag, where we show respect and compassion and indeed love for everyone, regardless of who they are, where they come from, then we honour people who are stateless and we honour ourselves as British citizens. And so I will support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Eggleston. So, ladies and gentlemen, can we now move to a vote on this, please? Can I ask our monitoring officer to confirm the result, please?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. So, motion on notice, yes 39, no 0 and 5 abstained. The motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Now, can we move on to the next item on the agenda, please, which is item 9, planning policy position statements. Now, this was to be proposed by Councillor John Belsey, but Councillor Belsey can't be with us this evening, so I'm going to ask our leader, Councillor Eggleston, to propose the motion.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm very happy to move this motion. I will be saying later on in my leader's report, giving an update on the district plan and thanking officers for their work, but I don't think it does harm to thank officers twice, and the hard yards that they've put in to prepare this planning policy position statement to give us some cover until we get our district plan in place. And whilst it's not a silver bullet, it at least provides a framework for our planning committee and our district planning committee members to work through during this time, and also community and developers that they know quite clearly what our position is in terms of policy and sites that come forward. An extraordinary amount of work has gone into putting these papers together. And I hope, and I'm sure other members share this hope with me, that we only have to have this policy statement in place for as short a period of time as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Eggleston. Councillor Bergeron, you're down to second this motion. Do you want to speak at this stage?
Happy to second it. No comment at the moment.
Would anybody else like to make any observation or comment on this document, which I think was hugely impressive? No? No? Can we move to a vote then, unless you want to say anything further, Councillor Bergeron?
No, thank you.
Good. Perhaps I could ask you to vote then, ladies and gentlemen. I think we've all voted now. Monitoring Officer?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. So recommendations on page 19, 44 in favour, it's unanimously carried. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Can we move on then to item 10, which is our air quality strategy? And this is to be proposed by Councillor Cook. Councillor Cook, would you like to say a few words on this, please?
Thank you, Chair. I'm pleased to support the air quality strategy and recommend it for approval. We are fortunate in mid-Sussex, and indeed across most of Sussex, to have good air quality. We should continue to be alert to areas that may appear to have issues and report them to our environmental protection team and support the objectives of the strategy listed in this report. I recommend it for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cook. I understand Councillor Wood is to second this. Do you want to say anything at this stage?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, any comments or observations on our air quality strategy? Councillor Cornish.
Thank you, Chairman. Firstly, can I thank the Deputy Chief Executive for a comprehensive response to my inquiry on how we are benchmarking this Council's progress in improving air quality. I do look forward to seeing the results on this action. Rural nature and geographical layout on our district means that accessing services and facilities is heavily reliant on using a car, as public transport options are less viable in many of our areas. While a high proportion of residents also work from home, reducing some daily car journeys, car use remains a defining characteristic of travel in the district for those who commute or need to travel for other services. The travel consensus in 2021 shows that Mid-Sussex has a significantly greater car use and ownership levels compared to both the national average for the UK and many other individual districts. In fact, 86% of households have access to at least one car or van in our district, which is higher than the national average for Great Britain of approximately 78% of households. As we know, cars emit pollutants that directly degrade air quality, including nitrogen oxides, particulate matter, and carbon monoxide. This all highlights the urgent need, and therefore my request this evening for this council to do all that it can to work with West Sussex County Council and secure funding to increase modal shift, particularly the link to key towns and villages with safe cycle routes to help reduce those car emissions as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cornish. Would anyone else like to make any observations on the air quality strategy? I can't see anyone, so I turn to Councillor Wood. Do you want to make any comment? Okay. Sorry, forgive me. Councillor Marsh.
Yeah, I can't leave that. Thank you, Chairman. I can't leave that statement not being answered. It's okay if you live in a town, but most of us live in a good proportion of villages who don't even know what a bus looks like, let alone have one going down their high street. So, and if you've ever lived in my village and tried to cycle with bags of Sainsbury's from my village to Hayward's Heath, it's just not going to happen. So I think I answered that same question when we were sitting here in the scrutiny. Very laudable, impractical when you live in a rural villages. Thank you, Chairman. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you, Councillor Marsh. Councillor Brown?
Thank you, Chairman. I just informed my colleague over there that I should be taking the bus tomorrow morning, and I do know what the bus looks like. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. I'm pleased that you have found a bus. Councillor Henwood.
I think the argument is relative to between the large towns, for instance, between Burgess Hill and Haywards Heath, for which we have been waiting many, many years to have a off-road cycle path. I believe that is what should be addressed, not necessarily in rural areas, but in our towns. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Henwood. Any further comments? No. Can we move to a vote then, ladies and gentlemen? Couple more. One more. That's it. Yes? Yes. Julie?
Thank you, Chair. So the recommendations on page 131, the air quality strategy, 41 in favour, 1 against and 2 abstain. Therefore, the recommendations are carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julie. So we move on to item 11 on the agenda, which is our statement of gambling policy, to be proposed by Councillor Henwood.
Oh, thank you, Chairman. Just to recommend the recommendations which will be found on my page 148. But everybody's probably got a different page. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Henwood. Councillor Mockford can't be with us this evening, so I'm happy to second this motion. Would anyone like to make any comments or debate on the topic? I see no one. So can we move straight to a vote then, please? One more, I think. Yes. So, Julie?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. So that's unanimously carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving swiftly on to item 12, our street trading policy, again proposed by Councillor Henwood.
Thank you, Chairman. Two recommendations which will be found on page 186. I recommend we approve them. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you again. Councillor Mockford can't be with us, so I'm happy to second this proposal. Would anyone like to offer any comment or observation on our street trading policy? No? So again, can we move quickly on to a vote on this, please? Our monitoring officer. Julie? We've done? Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. That's unanimously carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much, which brings us to item 13 on the agenda, the Council's Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Strategy for the years 2025 to 2029, proposed by Councillor Hicks. Councillor Hicks.
Thank you, Chairman. As a council and as community leaders, it's important we provide leadership on equality and diversity, echoing our previous debate on the Union flag. And this motion asks the council to approve a new equality, diversity and inclusion strategy for 2025 to 29. We need to ensure council services are delivered in a fair and inclusive manner, and the strategy reaffirms our objectives to build community trust, to foster social cohesion and to meet our legal duties, to ensure we reflect the diversity of Mid-Sussex, to prevent discrimination and to promote equal opportunities, both to our own workforce and for all Mid-Sussex residents. The strategy highlights the changing demographic shifts in Mid-Sussex, such as our ageing population, and increasing diversity, and sets out an action plan to continue supporting the council's residents and employees towards achieving these objectives, and to ensure anti-discrimination principles are ingrained in our work. I therefore propose the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Hicks. This is to be seconded by Councillor Cook. Do you want to say anything, Councillor Cook, at this stage?
Thank you. I'm pleased to second it. I will wait and see if I need to reply.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, any observations or debate? I have Councillor Wood.
Can I just welcome in particular in the new draft where it talks about neurodiversity, that's language that wasn't really talked about at the drafting of the Equality Act in 2010. And can I commend the officers for a very sensitive and well worked out a couple of sentences there about neurodiversity, which obviously includes conditions such as autism, ADHD, etc. So thank you very much to the officers who drafted it. They've done an excellent job.
Thank you, Councillor Wood. Any further observations, ladies and gentlemen? No? Anything to say, Councillor Cook?
Thank you. Only to endorse what Councillor Hicks and Councillor Wood have said. Thank you.
Good. Let's move to the vote then, ladies and gentlemen, please. Thank you. I think we've all voted now. Julie?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. So that's unanimously carried. Thank you.
So the next item is 15, and these are recommendations from Cabinet. Oh, sorry, I've ticked the wrong box. Forgive me. I always like to move away from finance, but that was a mistake. Forgive me. Item 14 is Treasury Management Strategy Statement and Annual Investment Strategy for 2026-2027 to 2028-2029, and this proposed by Councillor Lucraft. Forgive me for jumping the gun.
No, I understand your reluctance to discuss finances. However, the council has got money to manage, and so what the proposal recommendations on page 249 of your papers essentially ask for a renewal of Treasury Management Strategy, which was discussed at the Audit Committee last month. But what you might want to note is that we extended the period at which some money can be placed on deposit with other local authorities to 2 years to enable the council to have more flexibility to take advantage of short-term interest rate opportunities. So ask you to support the motion, please.
Thank you, Councillor Lucraft. Councillor Hicks, you're seconding this motion. Do you want to speak at this stage?
Chairman, happy to second the motion.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, any observations on finance? Your enthusiasm matches mine. Can we then move to a vote, please? Just one more vote to come in, I think. It's me. Sorry. I'm just... Julie, can you...
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. That's unanimously carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Now, you can see my enthusiasm was... now, of course, I wanted to hear from Councillor Eggleston on recommendations from Cabinet at item 15. The Cabinet was held on the 17th of November. Councillor Eggleston.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I'm happy to move the recommendations in paragraph 4 of the report. As we noted at Cabinet, we, unlike some of our nearby authorities, we're in a comparatively strong financial position. We always have to be mindful of the some of the seismic changes that we are going to face over the next 2 to 3 years, both in terms of the Fair Funding Review, which is going to have a significant impact on authorities such as Mid Sussex, and also local government reorganisation which of course the costs of that is not going to be borne sadly by the Treasury, but by the local authorities that will be subject to the change. Other than that, in terms of detail, I'm happy to defer to my colleague, Councillor Hicks.
Thank you, Councillor Eccleston. Councillor Hicks, do you want to make any observations at this stage?
Chairman, thank you. Just to echo Councillor Eggleston's comments, the Council continues to perform well, both financially and in terms of the majority of its performance indicators. We're fortunate to have significant Treasury management receipts to be able to allocate funding to specific reserves that enable the Council to fulfil its objectives, and I therefore second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, any debate on this topic? Any observations from anyone? No. Can we move to a vote, please, Julie? Thank you. Completed.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. That's unanimously carried. Thank you.
And I think it's worth saying, isn't it? It's been said before, but this is credit to those councillors involved, but particularly to officers, to have us in such a strong financial position, particularly when you look elsewhere, not so far away from the borders of this district. So we move to item 16, which is to receive our leaders' report from Councillor Eggleston, please.
Thank you, Chairman and members. So I'll start with an update on the district plan. Members will recall that on the 4th of April 2025, the planning inspector sent us her initial written views on stage 1 of our Reg 19 district plan, stating she was minded to fail it because in her view we had failed to comply with the duty to cooperate. We were invited by her to either withdraw the plan from examination or request that the inspector writes to us formally failing the plan. We did neither of those things. We firmly and steadfastly believed that our plan was sound, well prepared, strongly evidence-based, and that we had properly engaged with our neighbours on it. We set out our position very clearly to the government and the planning inspectorate. Now, there's been a welcome shift in the government's approach to plan making in recent months. On the 9th of October, the Minister gave written advice to the planning inspectorate, instructing them to be more flexible in their approach to plan making. Then on the 27th of November, in a written statement, the Minister announced that the legal duty to cooperate would not apply to current plans in examination. This removed the planning inspectorate's objection to our plan. Finally, on the 3rd of December, the planning inspectorate wrote to us confirming the appointment of a new planning inspector. We await his timetable for the next stage, which will be to continue with the examination of our draft district plan in its current form. District plan examinations are stressful, time-consuming, and difficult. But we all know that it is better to have a plan than no plan at all. This good news sets us on the path of getting our district plan adopted. I would like to thank Planning Committee members for their approach to planning applications through this period and into the future until we have our district plan adopted. I am also personally very grateful to Councillor Gary Marsh for his active support and advice to me during what has been a difficult time for us as a planning authority. Finally, I'd like to express my deep gratitude to the planning team for their calm professionalism, getting on with their jobs despite the challenges and setbacks. This work has included the preparation of the planning statements we adopted tonight, which will provide guidance and certainty for planning members and the community and developers until we have our district plan in place, hopefully as early in the new year as possible. Then on the Martlet Shopping Centre, yesterday, as you know, we signed a legal agreement with New River to facilitate the redevelopment of the Martlet Shopping Centre in Burgess Hill. The agreement has conditions, but providing they are fulfilled, we will move into the joint venture with New River via a limited liability partnership. The fulfilment of these conditions will be very demanding and time-consuming and will be concentrated during January to March next year. If we manage to satisfy all these conditions, the JV will be formed and it will begin the redevelopment during the spring or summer of 2026. However, we should not underestimate the continued complexity of this project, and we continue to pursue the JV with determination and vigour. And again, I would like to thank all our officers who are involved in this complicated work and the effort that they are putting into it. Thirdly, quantum computing. In October 2025, this council commissioned a report from Oxford Economics on the economic benefits that quantum computing can bring to Sussex and Greater Brighton. It forecasted that by 2050, the quantum sector in Sussex and Greater Brighton could directly generate between £721 million and £1.2 billion of economic activity and support between 1,100 and 1,900 jobs in the region. Added indirect impacts through the supply chain means that the industry could support a gross value-added contribution of between £1.2 billion and £1.9 billion to the South East region and support between 7,000 and 11,400 jobs. Our report went on to suggest that by 2050, the total UK-wide contribution of the region's quantum computing sector will be between £2.5 billion and £4.1 billion, supporting between 25,000 and 40,800 UK jobs. This is all before considering the productivity gains that quantum can bring to industries that use this technology, ranging from agriculture to pharmaceuticals and finance services to aerospace. Pioneering research in quantum computing is being carried out at Sussex University, led by Professor Winfried Hensinger. Its corporate spin-off, led by Winfried and Seb Veit, Universal Quantum, is based in Haywards Heath. I pay tribute to the previous administration, led by Jonathan Ash-Edwards, in successfully bringing them to the district. There is a scientific ecosystem for quantum across the region because of its connection, for example, with vacuum technology companies, where again we have a good presence in mid-Sussex, such as Edwards Vacuum in Burgess Hill. Now, the government has made it clear that quantum technologies is a key growth sector for the UK economy and has allocated £670 million for public investment in quantum across the UK. Getting a share of this investment will provide a significant boost to the regional economy. I'd like to thank the MP for Mid-Sussex, Councillor Alison Bennett, for her lobbying of ministers and the Secretary of State in this regard. As a council, we are supporting Universal Quantum's bid for a share of this funding. The government has also launched a competed strand of the UKRI Local Innovation Partnerships Fund, LIF, inviting bids which can demonstrate innovation potential for up to £20 million of funds. A LIPF bid is being led by Sussex University, supported by business, Universal Quantum, and the public sector, which includes us, West and East Sussex, and the City. The Chief Executive and I recently attended a meeting to progress this bid. The aim of this work is to develop Sussex into a world-leading region for innovation and manufacturing in quantum technologies. In other words, a Silicon Sussex. Then on the Lewes local plan, Lewes District Council is progressing work on a new local plan, and its Cabinet meeting considered its Reg 18 draft plan this afternoon, which will go out for formal consultation over a period of 8 to 10 weeks. The draft plan leaves a considerable amount of unmet need in the Lewes District Council area, as they are only proposing to allocate to 43% of their requirement under the standard method. But it also brings forward sites with an allocation totalling 585 units, close to the Haywards Heath and Burgess Hill boundaries. Officers will, of course, robustly respond to the LDC consultation and seek to address the viability of these sites and our infrastructure requirements should Lewes District Council retain them in their plan. And finally, local government reorganisation and the Strategic Mayoral Authority. The government's consultation on LGR closes on the 11th of January 2026. The link to the consultation allows you to respond to the two proposals for West Sussex, the East Sussex option and the City's proposal. If you have not participated in the consultation, may I urge you to do so. As a council, as you know, we backed a two-unitary option for West Sussex. Collaborative work amongst officers and leaders continues on the formation of the new authorities, and we are committed to continue to work constructively together, regardless of the outcome of the consultation and the final decision the government makes. You will have read that the government has announced that the mayoral election will be delayed until 2028. This announcement came as a surprise and a disappointment. Despite this announcement, the principal authorities and other stakeholders are pressing on with the work of shaping the new mayoral authority, not just in terms of governance, but also a policy programme that the elected mayor can step into following his, her or their election. I can understand that the government's decision on mayoral elections is hugely frustrating for the three principal authorities in our region that are leading the work on its formation, and I share their frustration. And this just leaves me to wish you all a peaceful Christmas and a new year filled with hope. And of course, I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you, Councillor Eggleton. Questions, I have Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for that update on the proposed Regulation 18 on Lewes, because I've asked this question before and you said you would fight our corner for this. My concern is, well, not concern, the amount of houses that are showing in this proposal with what we're building in Hurst Farm and next to it is over 1,000 houses if they all came through. So my concern is more the piecemeal of this might come through in small developments of 130, 120, 30, etc., is that we have a joined up thinking of how we plan the infrastructure on the roads with East and West Sussex, because it's right on the border, with the highways departments, wherever they're going to sit in the future, because we don't know where the highways are going to be. So thank you for answering my question that I had ready here for you. And I also believe Mark McLaughlin has done, will be all over it as the 106 or SEAL, or whatever they're going to pay us, I hope. But we do need to fight for everything for our area, because they will use our infrastructure. They use our schools, they use our gyms, they use our train station. They're being landed on us. And I think there might be some on Burgess Hill as well. So I'm talking across for the whole district on this one. So thank you for that. And I am worried about things like desktop studies when they come to the roads coming onto that main road, because we've had 2 incidents now where 2 roads have been changed through TROs to make them wider, and local knowledge is important. And my other colleague, Councillor Kenny, has been working hard to sort out the Gamblemead Road, which has been a worry for us, and he's doing a lot of work on that. And Sujan Wicarachi from the county has got one sorted out on the other road, on the bypass. So we must make sure that they don't say these are the standards roads. Let's take some local knowledge on these. Please include the local members' views on this, because we've had a lot of feedback on these. And I thank Councillor Kenny for the work he's done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. I was quite generous in my latitude there. I think,
well, there was going to be a question,
but it was answered.
The gift of second sight.
So my next question will come from Councillor Eaves.
Thank you, Chair. Congratulations, everyone, on the district plan and on the progress towards the joint venture. That's really good news. My question is about the policy programme you referred to, Leader, regarding the mayoral strategic authority. Now, I've only just discovered that this thing already exists by reading the Burgess Hill Business Park Association newsletter, and they, I understand, have already been asked for some input, which is great. Business should be asked, but I looked at the terms of reference of the authority, and it seems there's only yourself representing us on that authority. And after all, this is an overall control council. So my question is, bearing in mind our motion in March as well, which you helped with regarding the need for more democracy on local government reorganisation, when will we as elected members get some input into the policy programme? Is there any kind of system whereby we can contribute? Will we discuss this in scrutiny? Because it can't just be that non-elected people are inputting into this, and yourself, of course.
Thank you, Councillor Eaves. Can I ask for some clarification on this, either from Catherine or from our leader?
Yes, so just to be clear, I'm on the informal board, not as the representative for Mid Sussex District Council. I am the representative for the district and borough councils in West Sussex. I ought to be really big-headed about that, but I'm not. So, and there's likewise from East Sussex, the district and borough councils have a representative on the informal board. That's one element of the engagement, bearing in mind that the formation of the strategic mayoral authority is led by the principal authorities, so East Sussex and West Sussex and the city. So it's very much their baby. There is then a wider stakeholder forum which has brought together all of the leaders of West Sussex and East Sussex into that forum, plus representatives from the university, the NHS, the police, and from business to shape an outline policy programme for the strategic mayoral authority. I will come back to you. I mean, I doubt whether it would go through a scrutiny committee here, because the strategic mayoral authority is not effectively being created by us. It's being created by the upper tier authorities. But I'm sure that within the briefing structures that we have, we will cascade information to members so that they are aware of the progress that the stakeholder community is making in developing the policy programme for the mayor and its board.
Thank you, Councillor Eccleston. I think it's worth emphasising as well the thing that was mentioned earlier about completing your feedback into the consultation. Really important. The next question comes from Councillor Marsh.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you very much for your kind words. Perhaps next summer, not saying we're going to be seeing a lot of each other, but we did an awful lot this summer, and it might be less stressful this time. The question I've got, I had the least majority in the whole of the council, 2. But that doesn't stop me from actually representing all the residents of all political persuasions across my ward and beyond. So do you agree with me that it's incumbent of all our councillors and MP that they should also work with all people, not necessarily the people who elect them in the first place? Thank you, Chairman.
It's a very strange question.
Do you want to make any comment, Councillor?
I can't remember what my majority is, but it's more than 2. But I speak for myself personally. I don't really care how a resident voted. If they have casework, I will deal with their casework impartially, regardless of their political opinions. And I'm sure all members, regardless of their standing, do exactly the same.
Thank you, Councillor Eggleston. I hope that goes without saying. But next question from Councillor Bennett, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to thank Councillor Eggleston for his kind words about the work I've been doing. I wonder whether, and actually to the point about working for people regardless of who they voted for, today I've been doing some casework for a former Conservative district councillor, so I think we all stand by that. I wonder whether the leader would agree with me that when you look at the way that the Labour government unilaterally cancelled the mayoral elections last week, Councillor Eve's concerns about district councillors having a say and getting a seat at the table, it makes it rather hard, actually, to make that case that is actually the thing that's driving the government. And I think that's really regrettable and really disappointing that effectively Sussex has been marched up a hill and then back down again. Does the leader agree?
Yes, I do. I mean, and you know, if I was the leader of the county councils or the leader in the city, I mean, I would be absolutely fuming because, in good faith, they put themselves on the. You know, they went for the priority programme. I mean, the clues in the title, and now to be told that the mayoral elections have been delayed by 2 years in such a unilateral way is, well, I used the political language of disappointment, and we all in this room know what that means, really. So yes, I agree, and I suspect, I don't know, but I suspect that their reasons weren't for allowing us more time to get the structure right. I'm sure that they may have had other reasons why they've gone the route that they've chosen.
Thank you, Councillor Eggleston. And I think it's time to move on. Oh, we have a question.
Thank you very much, Chair. I agree with the leader on the importance of quantum technologies to the district's future. And I'm extremely pleased to hear about the triple helix approach being taken with the joint proposal from the university, industry and government to UKRI. But what more precisely can we in this chamber do to support the regional innovation system that is emerging?
Thank you for that question. We actually in Mid Sussex have done a lot already. I mean, if you look at the allocations in the current district plan for employment sites, and in particular the land allocation for the science park, gives us and the sector the opportunity to locate to Mid Sussex on land that is ready to go, and Panettone Park is pretty much built out already, and I'm sure Quantum could move into there. So as a planning authority, we've planned for it, and if you're attracting jobs to this area, and many of them will come to Mid Sussex, you want to provide good connectivity. So if they're coming from Brighton or from London, you want to provide good connectivity. We can't do anything about the trains, but we can, referencing Councillor Cornish's early point on air quality, we can provide active travel routes out to those parks so that people can choose to walk or cycle from the station. So we're doing that as well, and also providing places for people to live. And if you look at the development at Brookley, where we are building, we're building homes near major employment sites. So what we've done in Mid Sussex, and it has been picked up by government, plus fast fibre in the ground. It has been picked up by government that what we're doing in this district is building in that capacity first, so that we enable the investment to take place, and hopefully the government will listen. It will be a game changer for the technology, and it will be a game changer for Mid Sussex.
Thank you, Councillor Eggleston. Time is moving on, so can we move on to reports from the other Cabinet members, starting with the Deputy Leader, Councillor Hobbs.
Thank you. Today I'd like to devote my update to the launch of the 123 waste collection service across the district. As we know, this wasn't just about launching a new weekly food waste collection on top of the service that already existed, as some other councils have done. It was about taking the learning from the 123 trials this council had the foresight to invest in. It's about applying that learning across 72,000 households and rebalancing 432,000 collections across every 3-week cycle. It's about working with West Sussex County Council as they redesign their disposal plant and their teams to deal with the tonnage of food waste diverted from landfill every single day of the week. This is the first change to our service for 19 years. The complete remodelling of our collection service, recruiting 30 additional staff, launching new in-cab technologies, the building of a temporary depot here, and a huge communication activity around all of that to keep our residents informed. We knew this would mean significant challenges to resolve for both us, Serco, and our teams. To those whose service has not been optimal, I'd like to apologise. Whilst the officers of this council and our contractor Serco have worked for months to deliver the perfect execution, it's regrettable that around 2% of our households each week, this hasn't been the best start for the new service, and I am sorry for that. Collection date changes, a failure to get every household the required food bins for the start of the service, new staff with new equipment, new rounds for operatives to learn, some informal local knowledge that wasn't transferred, data gaps, for example, on new housing estates, and 3 vehicles all breaking down in the same week have all resulted in less than 100% from day one. As a district council with a small directly employed workforce, we rely heavily on our contractor partners, and whilst we and they had contingencies in place for every one of those scenarios, they have taken time to iron out some of those problems. I'd like to thank you for all the work that you've been doing with your residents to get them the relevant support, and to Councillor Russell, Councillor Hitchcock, Councillor Sweatman, Councillor Ziegler, Councillor Peacock, plus members of my own group who have raised issues directly with me for escalation. The officers at all levels across our organisation have been working many, many hours to resolve the issues with Serco, and I thank them profusely. It is no fun to be dealing with negativity all day, every day, and I recognise the challenge that brings when situations are out of your own control, but you have to answer for others and their actions. But whilst there have been some service failures, we mustn't ignore the many positive experience or the efforts of our staff and contractors during the rollout. We tend not to highlight these, but it is important that we do in order to provide the right information balance. The good news is that from week 1, we have a great public engagement in the service, with 7 out of 10 households putting their food bin out, a number that has continued to grow in the 5 weeks of operation of this service. Over 500 tonnes of food waste that would have gone into the black bin, now separated and processed at the anaerobic digestion plant in Warnham. Last week, 96% of food waste collections were made to plan, with further collections then over the weekend, and 99% of general waste and recycling collections were made to plan last week. Public sentiment has grown, residents are positive about food waste collection and the long-term benefits it has to the environment. And I thank Councillor Cherry for catching me in the car park earlier and telling me the story of her book club feedback from today, which was great.
Very positive.
Average call wait times to our customer service team last week were down to less than 5 minutes. These calls are not only about issues, but they're also about residents asking what food could be recycled. Staff and Serco continue to bear down on outstanding collection issues. I'm pleased to tell you that now that the data issues have been ironed out, we will soon officially launch our Mid-Sussex District Council app. This service alerts the user at a time of their choosing as to the combination of bins that need to be put out for collection each week. Available on both Android and Apple platforms, social media promotion of the service will be starting early in the new year, and members will be briefed prior to this happening. Thank you for your ongoing support, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Councillor Hobbs. Are there any questions to be asked? Ladies and gentlemen, Councillor Ellis was first. Councillor
Thank
Ellis.
you, Chairman. Could I just, before I ask my question, can I just pass on my thanks to Simon Hughes, his amazing officers who went beyond the call of duty to answer questions. I just happened to be in Haywards Heath, that's right near the Serco depot, and then we just had a mix of flats and sheltered housing and care homes, and there's all sorts of different mixes in our ward. So we did have a lot of issues, but I just want to say, I really do think you have done an amazing job. Not just you, I think Serco, I think your officers. You certainly didn't work 9 to 5. You were certainly coming back with answers, questions, responding. So I just want to get that past what I'm just going to say. But my question is, there's been a lot of disappointment at times with people and bins, and I've actually used this app and downloaded it, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I know a lot of people are using it. But I would like to know, there are areas that I've still got with very vulnerable elderly people living in sheltered accommodation who've had assisted sort of collections prior to that, and they are really sort of struggling. And I know I've had response, but could I please directly have response and communication over those, because they're very far and few between, but they are people that are really going to need our support as we try to adapt. But I just think this council should be extremely proud, and it makes me proud to go and see all the vans going past, people putting their green waste out, and I think congratulations to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ellis. Do you want to make any comment, Councillor Hobbs?
Yes, thank you for your comment, and I'm very aware that for people who have assisted collection particularly, this has been quite a difficult transition. In fact, today I did a tip run and I took some waste from a neighbour who has assisted collection and who had unfortunately been missed. And so I took some of her waste on her behalf. But the good news is that her backlog was sorted today and she's now back in the process. If you do have specific issues with residents, please make sure they're raised to the team as soon as you possibly can, and then they can be escalated. And as I say, anything that you can send to me as well, and anywhere I can help, I'm more than happy to. Thank you.
Thank you. There are a few people here. Next, I have Councillor Cornish, please.
Thank you very much. I just wish to reiterate my thanks to Councillor Hobbs and the officers involved in this monumental project. I think it should be commended, which I know my colleagues in the room are doing so. I think with it brings enormous environmental benefits, as well as the numbers behind the tonnage of food waste collected, and the numbers of households that we are now collecting food waste from. Will the council also publish the environmental benefits, how this waste is being used and when it's being used as soon as possible, because I think this will only add to the positive news story that this is. So my thanks again.
Councillor Hobbs.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Cornish, for your question. Obviously, we're the disposal authority. West Sussex is the processing authority. And we are the very first of the 7 district councils and boroughs to be feeding into the new anaerobic digester, which has been built up at Warnham. So I will make sure that we get full details of that we can share with you of exactly how that waste is being processed and to what benefit is being used and in what proportions as it moves on through the food chain.
Thank you. The next question comes from Councillor Margaret Belsey.
Thank you, Chairman. My question, if I may, I just wanted to mention the recycling before I ask my question. I was on the phone for 45 minutes last week because since the recycling is, it started, I haven't had any recycling collection. So I spoke to them, I think it was last Wednesday. They did apologise for the delay. They said they were very busy, but 45 minutes was quite a time to wait on that phone. I explained that I hadn't had a recycling collection and one came on Monday. So that's the good news because it was 5 weeks without a collection and that was quite some time. Anyway, good news at the end. My question is regarding Mount Noddy recreation ground. Have you got a date when this project is likely to be finished? It was going to be October, but I went up there today and it's obviously going to be a couple of months. I just wondered if you could give me an update on where we are, because it's a question I'm getting. I'm the councillor of that area and I'm being constantly asked when it'll be finished.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your question and thank you for the feedback on the service. In regards to Mount Noddy, I think it would be fair to say that the weather has somewhat changed, somewhat turned, and of course, you know, I visited the site in early November to look at progress in the rain, and of course it was particularly muddy, and work carries on when the weather is suitable. I will get you an answer as to when they intend to finish. They are on the final stages. A lot of the construction work has been done with the paths, but I know that there is still more to be done. So we won't give up until it's finished, but I will try and get you a date.
May I ask just one quick further question on it?
Very quick, because I'm going to have to limit the number of questions.
The playground area, which is the one that's always being asked, it was nearly half of it was flooded today. It was more like a boat park than a playground. I just wondered, the person who was there, the only member of staff I could find, said they were worried about the drainage. It was West Sussex and the rest of it was Mid Sussex, and there was a problem sorting the drainage out. I just wanted to bring it to the attention because it was so flooded there. I mean, if it's going to be an ongoing problem, it should be sorted before it's finished, the site.
Thank you, Councillor Belsey.
Thank you.
I'm going to limit questions now. I've got Councillor Mear, Councillor Marsh and Councillor Ziedler. Those will be the last questions for Councillor Hobbs. We're running way past time and we've got 3 more reports to hear. Could I ask Councillor Mear to ask his question, please?
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to thank for the update, Mr. Councillor Eggleston, for the JV, which is really good news for Burgess Hill, the residents of Burgess Hill. And of course, everybody's looking forward to see the spade on the ground. And hopefully, as you said, hopefully next summer.
Sorry, Councillor Mear, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is a question that you must ask to Councillor Hobbs, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get to my question, and of course I'd like to thank the officers for their hard work as well for the JV. With Councillor Hobbs, if I may ask, I raised this question in the last council meeting regarding the play area at Chaffin's Close, and which you said you'll come back to me with all the information. The park, as it is now, just remains as a wasteland, kind of. There's nothing there. The equipments have been removed. And if you have any information at all, if you could let us know, residents are concerned in that area, whether the play area will be reopened at all, that people are concerned, whether repairs or replacement equipment are planned, and the expected timeline, if you have any information to share with us, please. Thank you.
Councillor Hobbs.
Thank you to Councillor Meir for the question. Obviously, as I've mentioned on the last couple of briefings, I'm more than happy to deal with casework in between events such as this full council meeting. So please, I obviously don't have the detail for every one of our 400 green spaces to hand. So please feel free to write to me in between these meetings if there's something I can help with you with, if there's something that's quite pressing. But I will take the opportunity to speak to the officers on your behalf and try and get you some more information as to what specifically is happening at that site.
Thank you. Councillor Marsh has a question.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I echo my fellow councillor here, superb work that Simon and his team have done, and they've worked so hard. Now, there is a couple of questions I would love to ask you, but I hear for what the Chairman's saying. But what communication exercise were you going on about? Because I've not received a single communication from you at all, and I don't think any of my group have received a single communication from you other than a direct question that you've been copied into. So I do think you've been a bit disingenuous there. I was around 19 years ago when we did the last one, and the difference was we did a proper consultation. You've talked about today about social media. Again, not everybody in this district is on social media. We got rid of a perfectly good way of contacting our residents, the Mid-Sussex Matters. The take-up on digital is pathetic, really pathetic, compared to the 72,000 you could have done. So I would ask you to seriously consider your position, because, quite frankly, I don't think you're up for the job. So I'm sorry, we know we're meant to be in the spirit of goodwill and all that, but reality is you're radio silent from one council to the next council meeting. Sorry, Chairman.
Do you want to respond, Councillor Hobbs?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for your question. If there was one in there again. So, I think your question was about my resignation, but so.
It wasn't. It was what communication did you undertake?
Okay. So, in regards to every councillor who has communicated with me, I have responded to them and I have taken forward their questions with the officers within the team. If I have been copied in on communication from those councillors, then that has gone to the officers, then I've either supported the officers in what they are doing or gone back to the councillor in particular and said that I'm aware that the officers are on the case and are dealing with the issue. In regards to your observation on Mid-Sussex Matters, I think what's important here, and I'm sorry if you feel you've not been communicated to as a resident from this council in regards to the 123 changeover. Specifically, there were 3 bin hangers that were placed in the run-up to the transfer for all the residents who aren't digitally aware. In the bin, the food bin itself, there was a multi-fold leaflet that detailed how the process would work, including the telephone lines, the telephone number for people who needed assistance, the opportunity for that leaflet also to be in different languages. And obviously, as a network of 48 councillors here who don't discriminate whether they support any resident in their area, we are also the frontline support for those residents who we can help. So we can be contacted, as I have been contacted, as I know many of my councillor colleagues have been contacted for help with when might a bin collection be. For example, or my bin hasn't been collected. So I think this council has done an excellent job of communicating 123. I think that is most recognised by the result of 7 out of 10 residents in the first week engaging with the process and putting the bin out. And I think that you only have to look around at the positive comments that we've had from the chamber here this evening that would suggest that if there has been a failure of communication, we wouldn't have had such positive comments about how issues have been dealt with and about how the communication to our residents worked. In regards to Mid-Sussex Matters, and just to close that one off, I worked in newspapers, local newspapers and magazines publishing for the first 15 years of my career. And so I know all about how people read and consume media. And of course, you're absolutely right, not everybody engages in social media and not everybody requires everything or engages with everything digitally. But what is very, very clear is that this council has to strive for value for money in everything that it does. And the cost of the production of Mid-Sussex Matters versus the measured response that we're getting from competitions, from people commenting, and people feeding back was indicative of how little the magazine was read. I would give you an example in my own household, for example, in Sussex, and this may come as a surprise, but the residents in Sussex are generally not interested about what's happening in East Grinstead. And so a magazine with East Grinstead photograph on the front page, we would be thinking, and my neighbours would be thinking, this has come to the wrong house. It's very parochial, it's very local, and it's very important that we communicate on the big issues with residents in the most direct way possible, and specifically, like we have done with 123, continual communication in many different forms through the door. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hobbs. The final question for you from Councillor Zadler.
Yes, thank you. And first, thank you, Councillor Hobbs, for your response, as you said, in assisting my resident. I would say generally on the 123, particularly in the rural areas where there are a lot of hard-to-reach houses, a lot of very specific issues, communications has been a challenge. A lot of people have found it difficult, and it might be an idea, given that this has been such a significant project that's been managed, I would say, very well by the officers, to maybe go out and actually learn from the residents how they might prefer or how they might have seen things done better, because I do think there's learning out there to be had. Separately, though, my point is that I wish to ask you about is it relates to something separate, which is another implementation that you'll have coming up fairly soon in the new year, which relates to the parking in the villages, as you might have guessed from my presence. I understand from some information coming from West Sussex County Council officers that they've received some information from the team over here with regards to a draft parking order or an amendment to a draft order which is some 42 pages long, which they're finding really quite complex, and they have expressed some concerns about the process that's going on and how well it's actually being implemented. And as a result of that, some concerns which they say they've fed back or are feeding back on in relation to readiness for the rollout as you're anticipating. Clearly, this is another significant issue, and I'd just like to get your assurance that you're obviously closely tracking this to ensure that on a tight timetable with another very complex project which runs both technology alongside a change in behaviours, that you still believe it's on track.
Thank you, Councillor Zeidler. Councillor Hobbs.
Thank you, Councillor Zeidler. The Cabinet approved the timeline most recently for the implementation of the village car parking strategy, and that included a 13-week, I believe, consultation with West Sussex, which is our statutory requirement. And in fact, that is the longest period of consultation in the whole of the process. You know, it's clearly some 3 months. And so it's great to hear that that has been received at West Sussex. It's more concerning to hear that they have concerns, and I will pick up with the officers to ensure that those are ironed out. But thank you for bringing it to my attention.
Thank you, Councillor Hobbs. Can we move quickly on, please, now to Cabinet Member for Finance and his report, Councillor Hicks.
Thank you, Chairman. Good progress has been made on the 2026-27 corporate plan and budget, and I thank the working group that considered various budget options which provided valuable feedback. Draft plan has just been circulated. and will be considered in the light of the government's financial settlement for next year, which of course is due next week. The government's financial policy statement on local government finance that was announced in November gave some information on the mechanisms to be used for the new funding regime going forward, but lacked sufficient detail to be able to judge the financial effect on Mid-Sussex. This has therefore not changed the overall conclusion of a significant detrimental effect on the council's finances. The Audit Committee met on the 25th of November and considered the 24-25 financial accounts, which are now approved subject to the auditor's final opinion being disclaimed or an approved qualified opinion. These as a result of the unwinding of the national backstop arrangements, and more assurance being gained regarding the accounts as we recover from that process. No significant areas of weakness were identified. Indeed, the council was awarded additional grant to support its external audit, which was only given to councils where the issue was not of their making, but caused by the national backstop programme. Revenue and benefits continue to work to high performance standards, and in particular are preparing for changes to business rates. The triannual business rates revaluation will take effect from next April, based on valuation office assessment, which on average is likely to mean a 20% uplift in rateable values for Mid-Sussex business premises, although this will vary by sector and be subject to transitional relief. I would particularly highlight the importance of businesses ensuring they have a rates valuation account to check their existing property details, so if necessary they can challenge the current rateable value, as well as to enable them to challenge any new valuation from next April. The government also announced in November changes from next April for the business rate multipliers, which will mean substantial changes, replacing 2 tiers with 5. Whilst these changes will benefit many retail, hospitality and leisure businesses, for some, much of this may be offset by the revaluation. And it is frustrating that successive governments continue to tinker with business rates, despite its substantial unfairness in taxing business investment rather than profits or land value. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Councillor Hicks. There don't seem to be any questions. Oh, there is a question. Councillor Marsh.
One would expect, being the leader of the group, to ask a few questions, Chairman. I congratulate you on the fact that we had an underspend, and that's very good news for the whole, across the piece. The one question I would like to ask you is, the village car parks, which Councillor Zidler just raised, was meant to raise £150,000, and since that's not likely to be implemented in this council budget year, what made the shortfall up, please?
Councillor Hicks.
Thank you for the question. Well, there's a number of balances, of course, that lead to the net underspend, and I can get you the detail on the budget. But given we are in effect in overall balance on net of those figures, and I believe only 6 months was included in this financial year, it's not having a huge impact on the current budget process, but I can give you the detailed figures if you so wish. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Hicks. No other questions? Can we move on then to Councillor Cook, Cabinet Member for Communities and Communications? Your report, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll start with communications and thank Councillor Hobbs for his explanation of the comms regarding 123, and I'll take it perhaps from a slightly different angle as well. So comms have, of course, focused this autumn on the 123 waste and recycling programme. The demand for this vital information has seen a significant increase in the use of our social media.
Sorry, you talk a bit louder. We can't hear you at the back.
Oh. So the demand for this vital information has seen a significant increase in the use of our social media. The best performing Facebook posts for both October and November each received around 42,000 views. That's almost double the largest, most successful post in September. Both of these were waste focused. Followers of our Facebook account increased by 5% over the last 2 months to 9,587 people, which is a large number of people who have opted to keep up to date with what's going on at the council, not just stumbling across something. They have actively followed so they could see what's going on. Instagram continues slow but steady growth with 2,470 followers, a different audience, the play days being the most popular post there, with 1,641 views of the most popular post. Again, a decent number of young families, presumably. LinkedIn continues to be the primary channel for business and economic development messages and has more than 2,900 followers. As you will know, the 123 launch was also supported with a campaign of printed leaflets being bin hangers and features in our advertorials in local magazines. Again, as Councillor Hobb suggested, something local like Linfield Life, Cookfield Life, Hurstwood Point Life, whatever, are much more avidly read than something that's just a, 8-page large-scale leaflet across the whole district. The Village Life magazines across the 4 major villages have print runs of 18,000. And there's another 55,000 copies of RH Uncovered distributed in the 3 main towns and corresponding postcodes around them. I mean, maybe if someone's got a patch in their ward or area that aren't covered by any of these magazines, you could let us know and we could see if there's something available, maybe a parish-owned magazine or something where we could get information out. There was also a radio campaign and a series of press releases and, of course, our own Mid-Sussex Matters subscription by email. And that has 1,673 subscribers at the last count, with an open rate of an impressive 66%. So again, people opting to read the information. So building on this momentum, as Chris has mentioned, the new year will see a campaign to promote ways for residents to gain information and engage with the council, including the new app. Moving on to some of my other areas, disabled facilities grants, I think, is a fabulous offering, and it's done very well here, making the best use of the money available from the government. We've spent more than £1 million, or spent and committed, up to this point in the year, leaving another 25% of the budget for the last few months. Air quality, I have discussed, but I did attend the Air Quality Conference at Sussex University, which is organised by the Sussex Air Partnership, of which Mid-Sussex District Council is the host. It was a very interesting meeting. I did send out information for everybody about attending, but the most, as a non-scientist attending, the thing I came away with was seeing how important air quality is for all sorts of health issues, particularly among young people, old people, vulnerable groups. It's really important that we continue to focus on this, and if you've got any areas in your ward where you think there's pollution, traffic pollution in particular, report it to the Environmental Health Group and we can see whether we need to take measures there. Great, thank you. Community grants. This financial year will see a record sum invested in community grants, likely to match the annual budget, which, including underspends from previous years and monies refunded where the project didn't happen, totals just short of £180,000. The Cabinet meeting in November awarded 13 more grants to a range of community wellbeing organisations. I was delighted that we were able to support, for example, the Burgess Hill Pantry and Baby Bank in these times of continued cost of living crisis, as well as youth organisations and those supporting mental health and the environment. These grants have helped sustain a wide range of initiatives strengthening community resilience. Finally, I usually like to mention play days because they're another fabulous offering which the council makes to young families where the children can go and enjoy a day of party activities for nothing. The indoor events were held in each of the 3 towns in the October half term, and they had a total of 881 participants. Over the calendar year that we've just finished, there were 6,578 attendees across all the play day events and the school holidays. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cook. Questions? I have Councillor de Bell first.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I was a little bit confused there, Councillor Cook. You seem to be saying, agreeing with what Councillor Hobbs said about Mid-Sussex Matters being unnecessary because everybody goes. And then the next thing you're saying that it's very useful to get information into local magazines. So I think that this speaks up for the fact that irrespective of what Councillor Hobbs said, we are part of Mid-Sussex. And I think that whether it relates to East Grinstead or not, I think people like to see what's happening, what people are doing, and get ideas for their communities too, within Mid-Sussex. So I would say, please, look again at Mid-Sussex Matters, and you've virtually underlined that, saying about the information that people get from local magazines. So I would say, once again, that Mid-Sussex Matters paid for itself in unity within Mid-Sussex and giving people ideas about what they could and should be doing in their own communities. Also, we have an awful lot of older people who aren't on any
Sorry, Councillor
computer
de Bell,
at all.
what is the question?
Well, that's the question. What were you saying? Were you agreeing with him or disagreeing with him or what? Thank you.
Councillor Cook, sorry.
Thank you. First of all, I'll stand up for old people. My parents are in their late 80s.
And we all.
They may well be watching this on YouTube. And I will say that they are very adept with all of looking things up on Google if they want to know something, or asking Siri what the bin collections are, looking at social media, looking at Instagram. You can't write off older people nowadays because the internet has been around for 20 or 30 years.
Hopefully
and so
not.
those people were 50 when it first came out, and they were perfectly capable. But regarding Mid-Sussex Matters, I think that when you've got a magazine like, say, Cookfield Life, and it's got interesting articles local, and then you flick through and you find the report from Mid-Sussex District Council, it's much more widely read, much more interesting. Maybe we could consider if there's something really big going on in, say, in East Grinstead, we pop it in alongside our Mid-Sussex report for the people of Sussex, say. But no, I was not saying that the paper version of Mid-Sussex Matters is a good idea. People, if they want to know what's going on elsewhere, they can look at the, they can subscribe to the email newsletter. And again, I think a lot of people in their late 80s are perfectly capable of subscribing to a newsletter. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cook. The next question is from Councillor Prescott, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Staying on the digital connectivity, I was delighted to stumble onto the Mid-Sussex new app. I have it open on my phone now. I have two things. First of all, on the reporting tab, I can report a lost or found dog. I can report a missed bin. What I can't report is fly tipping. Please can I ask that functionality be added to the drop-down menu? For those of us in rural communities, it is quite a problem. Also on the waste collection, it's delighted to see I can get a notification on the day before as to what bin put out, so regardless of my mental state, I will be told. Can I just ask for confirmation, though, please, that the dates that I'm looking at now include the updated dates for the Christmas collections, which I saw notified today on a Facebook page. So I just want to make sure that this information is correct, please. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. It's good to have questions and not statements, isn't it, Councillor de Bell?
Thank you. Fly tipping, that's a good idea. I think that probably be noted. Regarding the waste over the Christmas period, I did notice that mine, personally, is correct and that the day has changed from the Tuesday, whatever, and is now going to be on Wednesday instead. I don't know how that all works out.
I want to know that everyone else.
Oh, you want everyone else's? I think you would have to put everybody's postcode in, wouldn't you? I'm not sure.
don't mind.
I don't know how that would work. We'll have to come back to you on that.
Okay, thank you. The next question from Councillor Marsh, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Last time, thank you, you'd be welcome, hopefully, unless he says something which annoys me.
Well, you promised me, did you? Thank you.
I won't promise. If it wasn't for Councillor Ellis here, I would never have known about this app.
Thank you. And your question is what?
My question is, left and right hand, again, not talking to us. I've not heard anything about this, so the communications that you all extol to be on social media doesn't actually filter down to telling us, giving us the information. We're all on the emails that you never send out anything. But anyway, the officers send out to everything. But it would have been nice to have been told about this. But if it wasn't for the diligence of my colleague here, you'll find most of us have signed up to it on this side of the room, if not necessarily that side of the room. So can you please get your communications a little bit better, please? Thank you.
Do you want to reply, Councillor Cook?
I can. What I will say is that the app is in its early stages of development. It's not being promoted until the new year while various difficulties are ironed out. Maybe we could have sent out a message to say, have a look at it, see what you think while we're developing it. Okay, point taken.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marsh, Councillor Cook. Last question, Councillor Cook from Councillor Ziedler.
Yeah, thank you very much. You mentioned about the communications on Facebook. I got two questions because a lot of local residents in the rural areas actually were using Facebook pages to share information about 123 and what they thought was going on. I want to know two things. Firstly, have you looked at the Mid-Sussex District Facebook page at posting into those local communications directly? Because that would have been a very, very effective route forwards, is the first one. And secondly, is what is the target that you have for your communication strategy? Because what percentage of the residents do you expect to get through Facebook? You said 9.6 thousand, we've got 72,000 or something like that. How many do you expect to get through the printed local? I'd be very interested to just see how it is that you expect to reach each of the resident types. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm forgetting your questions. Targets on Facebook, to some extent it serves itself. Facebook's quite widely used. Instagram seems to have a younger audience. I mean, we want to get everybody involved. So the Facebook, all the social media information is, for example, on the website, so people can follow it, having read about it there. And on the new app, I think there's a page where it says what the social media apps are, and you can presumably click and see it and join it from there. Do you mean, so for example, so we post up on our own site on Facebook, on Mid Sussex District Council, you're saying maybe we should post on Allborn Gossip or something?
Post it into the local community group, or and just really understand what the common strategy says.
I don't know whether we do that, but it's something that we could look at doing. I mean, there's nothing to stop us as councillors posting it onto our local group.
Could we just answer the question, if you can, Councillor Cook? If you can't, then I think you need to come back.
That's right.
Come back in writing.
No,
okay?
that's fine.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Cook, and thank you for the questions, everyone. We move now to Councillor Gibson.
Well, for the third year in succession, I occupy the increasingly dangerous space between you and the drinks from the Christmas drinks. So I'll be brief.
Well noted, well noted.
Our temporary accommodation numbers have stabilised at just over 100 after the jump that I reported in September. And I'm pleased to be able to report that we have no households in bed and breakfast as we move into the Christmas period. And I'd like to thank the housing team for their hard work under significant pressure. And finally, at the end of November, we held an event here at Oaklands to explore the main challenges local businesses face in engaging with artificial intelligence, AI, and how this council can support them. The event generated a lot of interest with speakers covering skills and a local company describing how they provide marketing support using AI. The main points that emerged were how to choose between the wide range of packages available and concern over the lack of governance and control. Data protection was a particular concern for businesses, especially for the increasingly market-leading Chinese packages. Now, clearly, setting an international governance framework is beyond the statutory duties of this council, but we will be holding some further events to follow up the issues highlighted. Now, I wondered whether my role as cabinet member could be at risk of replacement by an AI agent. So I fed this report through ChatGPT with a request that it suggest improvements, and I'm delighted to be able to say that it couldn't possibly be improved. I'd like to finish by thanking all the council staff for their hard work and support over the past year, and I'll be happy to keep
Thank you. A question first from Councillor Whittaker, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, can I thank the Cabinet member, first of all, for his continuing support for the East Grinstead Town Improvement Plan and his work with officers and the EGBA and the Town Council. It's greatly appreciated. And in that work, could he possibly review the situation on the business case for the Queen's Way car park extension that was turned down by Cabinet in April, but many people in East Grinstead feel that that report was incomplete and needs to be reviewed given the logistics. Thank you.
Councillor Gibson.
Yes, thank you for the question, Councillor Whittaker. I think that it wasn't ruled out permanently. It was something which was put on the back burner to look at. And I remember a particular concern was the 30-week period that the car park would be closed as a major loss to businesses in East Grinstead. And that was one of the factors which was certainly taken into consideration. I think that the changes which we're proposing, the introduction of ANPR, or introduction of pay on departure, and possibly the layout changes with the introduction of signage, which means that the car park usage will be monitored to a much greater extent in terms of the totality of parking in East Grinstead. And there was a longer section on this in the speech in which it would have looked forward to the possibility of even looking for a growth deal for East Grinstead to come out of the improvement work. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Prescott has a question.
Thank you, Chair. Please can I ask how many rough sleepers we have currently identified and if there is any provision for support over Christmas? Thank you.
From memory, it was 9 that we moved in. We had the cold weather protocol during November, which gives us a statutory duty to enable us to put people into proper accommodation. And clearly, we will be looking at that again as we move into the winter period. But thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson, Councillor Prescott. That, I think, brings us to the end of the reports from Cabinet members at item 17. Item 18 is questions from members pursuant to Council Procedure Rule 10.2, and there are none. So I can now close the meeting and ask you to please remain in your seats for the live stream to be concluded. And then I've also got a couple of personal announcements that I'd like to make after that's conclusion.
Stream's ended.
Okay. The first personal announcement is I'm going to